You're fine.
Right. So we will transition into that one though. Did you hear that apparently in Friday's practice, Travis Kelsey hurt his back
Really?
and
I
he
didn't
was
hear that.
questionable to play. And so I was nervous for
Could have
Kansas
fooled
City.
me.
And yeah, I know, right? I was thinking that during the game, even like one of the first few plays was a pass to Travis Kelsey, and I was like, "This dude looks fine." But of course, the medical staff knows what they're doing, and I'm sure he wasn't. I'm sure he had a little bit of help to feel better back there.
Yeah, he probably had like a cortisone shot or something into the spine.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So,
That's what they do a lot of times. Just nice cortisone shot to the spine. Like you're fine now. This
exactly.
this will give you 4 hours of being able to play without pain.
And it, from what I hear, it works pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Ours was just hydrocodone. Just take some hydrocodone, man.
I used to keep ibuprofen in my baseball bag, just just in
Yeah,
case, just in
dude, you
case.
got to. You got to. You get sore, man. Your
Just
arm gets sore, and
start pumping them things.
right. All right. So in that game, though, Travis Kelsey does end up playing. I was nervous for him though, knowing that Patrick Mahomes was coming off that ankle, and Travis Kelsey was possibly not playing. So I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good," especially because I was kind of already digging Cincinnati, anyways. So it lived up to the potential. It was a really good game. A lot of people want to say that the stripes, not the Bengals stripes, but the ref stripes, had a real big factor. And I'd be lying if I said that it didn't, because
It,
it did have a
if
factor.
if you're referring to the out of bounds call,
That one I can't defend. That one I can't defend. However, the refereeing in yesterday's AFC Championship game was not good. Now that one they had to call. I do agree with you there. The end of the game, the guy. I mean, the hard part is he's flying all the way across the field. He's trying to. It looked like Mahomes was going to try and keep going straight up the field. Instead, he steps out, and he was clearly out and gets hit late.
it was a step and a
So
half out.
it was definitely a penalty. It
Just
just really sucks.
boneheaded play
It is a
from,
boneheaded play. It's something that you really shouldn't do. You really
especially
should have been able to hold off.
if it's a quarterback, they're going to call that every single time. You
Yeah,
might you
that's,
might get away with that if it's a running back or a wide receiver, but the quarterback, you're going to get that call every single time.
yep. Now there was one earlier that seemed like it was kind of a little bit of a late hit on Joe Burrow, and they didn't call that, and that's a little bit of the argument. But the thing is, it was such, like you said, so obvious that he was out of bounds already
Mm.
that you just can't. Now my thing is, I know it's really hard to judge, and I know we kind of just skipped ahead to the end. We'll talk a little bit more about
Yeah, we're jumping
uh,
around. I know.
the game too, but my thing is, if there was some way that you could figure out if he's flying all the way across the field and hits him like barely, maybe like a 5 yard. But if he's literally like face to face with him and they like boom like clash, 15 yard. Like I
Yeah,
know that that's really ticky tacky and that's really hard, but that would at least give a chance
yeah.
because
I don't know. It reminds me of like the old accidental face mask thing that they used to
true.
have,
I
and there would
know.
always be arguments of, well, is that accidental or is that actual face mask? And it's like, it brings a little too much judgment into a sport that's played 100 miles an hour.
And when you already have a problem with the refereeing, I understand. But when we're breaking it down in slow mo anyway, we all become like
Yeah, but
they
those flags are
should get.
not thrown in slow mo.
That's
They're
true.
thrown in real time, and unless we're going to start changing those calls on the fly after the fact, you know that's going to slow the game down. But if you want to do that, we could do that and then apply 5 or 15.
It
The
just
one that,
really the one thing everybody can agree on is that it sucks that it has to be ended like that. That the season has to be over for that team
yeah,
in that situation like that.
I
Now I don't
agree.
know what the answer is.
I don't think there is one. You have to
Suck it
tell your
up.
defensive guys like, hey, you know, every yard is precious right now.
Yeah.
Every
Well,
yard,
that's
every
the
second is
point. That's
precious.
why he was trying so
And if
hard.
you think a guy's out of bounds, even a step out of bounds, don't touch him. If you think you know that he's running out of bounds, like that's the thing. At that situation, that time in the game, you know the guy's running out of bounds. You absolutely know for a fact he is running out of bounds. So just
You're
shepherd him to
right.
the sidelines, let him go out of bounds, and have that be the end of it. Like
I just
there
see
was
it
what
too
6
because that
seconds at that
dude's
point.
yeah, but Osai, that dude, his season's also on the line. So he's thinking that every yard matters, and he's thinking I got to make sure he doesn't get that one extra yard. And I know that it was late, and I know he was out of bounds already, but I can see it from that side. You know what I
Just
mean? I'm not trying to defend the penalty because it was a penalty. It was late. You shouldn't have done it. I can just see how it ended up happening in his head, like how he got to that point of fuck, I shouldn't probably do this, but it's happening anyways.
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that either. It's a sport that's played at a high speed,
hmm
and things happen before you can think. Your body's moving before you can think, and so it's tough. But that's why we have refs out there to
Yep.
make those calls, and that's why they're paid well. Sometimes they don't have their best games. Sometimes those games happen at the biggest moments, but I don't think there's really anything you can do about that. It's not like you know, they're not going to slant the game in one direction or the other, because that would open the NFL up to lots and lots of problems. Just ask the NBA.
Yes, that's you're right.
So, anybody who says, well, the refs are wanting this result, they're not. They're not. They're just
I
not.
know, I know. It just it just sucks to come down to that. I
They can
mean,
always
I
be better. They can always be
definitely,
better.
definitely.
But
No, I mean it was an all-time game. It was a great game, a lot of fun to watch. Um, Huge plays by all the stars. I mean, they were making plays. Travis Kelsey, like we talked about, was Travis Kelsey. I mean, of course, their first touchdown is Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelsey. It has to be. Why not, right?
of course,
Of course. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again in 2 weeks. But we had a real close game, 13-6 at the half. Only touchdown at that point was the Travis Kelsey touchdown. But then third quarter, Bengals go right down the field. T. Higgins with a 27-yard touchdown. And now we got a game. 13-13. It's like, okay, here we fucking go. And then Kansas City goes down, scores themselves. And dude, just the back and forth with these two teams, they're so well matched. I feel like they
mhm.
both have the amount of firepower on both sides of the ball. Like their offenses, Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes right now is a legit argument. Like it's actually a legit argument.
I'm not there yet. But I I still think we talked about this last week, where
Yeah,
it's Mahomes tier one, and then I think Burrow and Allen are tier two, and then it's everybody else.
I am with you there now. I have been proven that Patrick Mahomes is still goodness gracious. Like how in the world are you even doing that? Making passes and putting his team on his ankle. uh, so no, I am kind of there with you now. But I will say it is a legit argument. I will argue the Patrick Mahomes side, but I can allow people to argue the Joe Burrow side of it now. Personally,
I,
that's what I think.
you can make a better
Um,
case that for him than you could for Josh Allen.
yeah, I think so right now too. I mean, right now he's basically 2 years of him playing full seasons. He's made it to back-to-back AFC championships.
Yep.
I mean, the only other person that's basically doing that is Patrick Mahomes.
And he's playing for the Bengals. That shouldn't be overlooked.
Dude, exactly. I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking about because obviously it might be the last year for Zeke in a Cowboys uniform. Um, I don't think it will be for Dak or anything like that, but you never know what happens. But I was thinking about their rookie year, and I'll never forget the game where we played the Bengals and Zeke had a rush right up the middle, and I was thinking about who their quarterback was, and I was like Andy Dalton, and I was like, man, they have Joe Burrow now. Like, dang, dude. And you're right. Like, normally that is not a great team, and with Joe Burrow, I mean Jamar Chase being there with him. Joe Mixon's been a hell of a running back. T. Higgins is arguably a number one himself. We've talked about, and then you got Tyler Boyd as your three. They trade for Hayden Hurst. Like, dude,
Yeah, they've got
I think
firepower,
yeah,
and they're not going
it's
anywhere.
crazy. No, they're not going anywhere. It's crazy. I really think. I mean, I thought it was this year. I really thought that they were going to do it this year. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. So it sucks to come down to something like that. But man, was it a fun game. It really was. Uh, we do have to talk about Patrick Mahomes, though. Like, some of the passes he's making. Now, last week
Uh-huh.
I talked about it right away. He had pass and a sidearm pass and stuff. He wasn't able to do as much of that this week. He still had some sidearm passes, no jump passes really, but some of those passes on the run. I saw a stat. I think did I take a picture of it? Let's see.
Yeah, I think he's probably the best on the run passer the NFL's ever seen.
I think you're right, dude. I
Like
mean,
I don't even like he's the ingenuity of Brett Favre, the maneuverability of like a Donovan McNabb, the poise of whoever you want to put in there. I mean, like you could pickpocket
Peyton
like three
Manning.
or four or five all-time great quarterbacks and throw them all in together, and that's what you have with Patrick Mahomes.
I agree. And dude, like, so what I was trying to find, and I couldn't really find it. I think it was a tweet. I don't remember if it was at a certain point in the game or if it was at the end of the game, but he was like 9 for 9 on throws on the run
Yep, he's
on a high
incredible.
ankle sprain.
Yeah,
On a high ankle sprain. Like,
and it's his plant leg too, right?
yeah.
Like
So
that's
you did see
insane.
that. You did see that affect him. So he did have some passes where he was doing like a 3-step drop and
Hmm.
just could not put a lot of weight on it. And so he threw short. And
Yeah,
you could tell.
and his on the run passes in this game, they were not the usual 20-30 yards downfield on the run passes like he does often. They were more of the 10-yard outs, 7-yard
I
outs kind
believe
of
he only
kind of
had one
throws.
pass over 30 yards the whole
I
game.
wouldn't surprise me at all. uh
Me neither. And that's just
and that might have
the
been the
whole.
Kelsey touchdown. I don't remember where they were on the field on
No, I
that
think
one,
that
but
one was like 27. So it was
yeah, something like
close.
that.
Yeah, I think
Something
it
like
was
that.
it was or no, it was 14. That's right, because I was just looking at it. That one was 14.
I thought they were just outside the 20. Eh, doesn't matter.
No, it don't. But no, dude. Not only that, but then also after Sunday's last second win, Patrick Mahomes has now guided 3 lead changing, tied or took lead drives in his playoff career that began with 1 minute or less on the clock. He's the only player in NFL history with more than one, and he has 3.
Insane.
And he's 27, and he's only played in what is it, 6 seasons now? 5 as the starter.
5 as the starter, yeah. 'Cause they've been the AFC title game all 5
5
years.
straight years, yeah. and
And this is their
three
third
of
time to go to the Super
four.
Bowl.
Yeah, and 3 of the last 4 are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's
it's
insane.
it's absolutely insane.
Like,
It's funny because we always say that the NFL is the league of parity, but it's not really at the top. The top is not a parity league. It's the middle that's the parity league.
usually,
Because at the top, it's a lot of the same teams over stretches, and it's the teams with the best quarterbacks.
yeah. I feel like that's mostly on the AFC side because you had Peyton Manning,
To
Ben
a certain degree, yeah.
Roethlisberger, Tom Brady. On the NFC side, you had a lot more, a lot different names
M-
representing the NFC over those
mostly
years.
mostly because for whatever reason, the NFC hasn't been able to find quarterbacks consistently.
Right. Not only that, but also I thought you were going to say also because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to actually win any of those NFC Championship games, or else he would have been the one representing the
Right.
NFC the whole time.
And I was more meaning like teams that are in the AFC and NFC title games year after year after year after year.
Are typically a lot of the same. That's true.
Right. Like it's unfortunately a lot. It's been the Eagles a lot over the last 20 years. It's been the 49ers a lot. It's been the Packers a lot.
Yeah, we had that little Seahawks run.
Yeah, the little Seahawks run, and the odd team every now and then. But in the AFC, there was the Patriots a lot, it was the Colts a lot, it was the
The
Steelers a lot,
Broncos.
the Broncos had a run. Now we got the Chiefs, and I guess start throwing in the Bengals. And
Man, it's one thing that I want to not hear anything about, which I can't even believe I'm even seeing. Some people saying like, "Is the Bills dynasty over?" What dynasty?
they didn't have a
What are you
dynasty.
talking about? Is the Bills window closed? Maybe. I don't think so. But
No,
that's a better headline than
if
is their dynasty
if
over?
you
Like,
if you have a top five quarterback, your window's open, wide open.
right. I agree. I'm not
No matter
saying that at
what
all
no
either.
matter who else is on the team, if you have a top five quarterback, your window is wide open.
Well, no, that whole team is really good. They just puttered out at the end, and they lost their best player on the defense, which they signed for in the offseason to a pretty big deal to make that big impact in Von Miller. And
Yeah.
so the Bills just
And the
kind of
AFC's
imploded
tough,
late.
man. The
The
AFC
AFC
is
is really
tough.
hard.
You
Yeah,
got the three best quarterbacks in the NFL all playing in the same conference. It's
yeah,
tough.
I
Just because you
kind of
can't make
agree.
it to the AFC title game just because you were the one of the three quarterbacks that didn't make it this year, that doesn't mean anything. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Now, I don't like seeing the whole Stephon Diggs drama, but I mean, that's wide receivers are divas. That's
Yeah,
just
they are.
how it goes.
That
um,
they are.